I just went over and did a quick search on YouTube, searching for how to overcome stress, how to deal and cope with this anxiety, and how to manage stress at work, etc. And a lot of advice is over there. It works to the point that you get to eliminate stress and anxiety that you feel in the moment, but tomorrow you'll have to come back to the same video, to the same exercise, to the same practice, and you will continue to live like this day in and day out, week after week. So what is it that I'm talking about? You'll always feel stress unless you do this, right? So when you're born and when you sort of become an independent human being and get away from your parents, you possibly go into school and you start having exams. And that becomes really stressful. And then if you don't get into school, that becomes stressful. Now you move on with life and you're looking for a job. And if you don't get a job, that's stressful. And if you go for an interview, that's stressful. And if you get a job, that's stressful. If you don't get a job, that's stressful. Then you go and you feel, start living and you get in a relationship, it becomes stressful. And you don't get in a relationship, it becomes stressful. And you would want to possibly get married, and that becomes stressful. And once you get married, that, has its own stressors and challenges involved. And if you don't get married, that becomes stressful. And you think about becoming a parent. And if you don't become a parent, that's stressful. And if you do become a parent, that's stressful. And on and on and on. Life is full of stress. Or so they say. So they say, how do you manage it and how do you cope with it? Well, what I'm here to tell you is that you'll always continue to feel stress and be stressed in your life. As I just mentioned, every single era of life is stressful. But what most of the suggestions out there on YouTube, Google, and all of the psychologists that you talk to, what they're going to do is you got to just manage stress and you're going to cope with stress. And stress is just a thing of life. Well, there's a lot of people who feel the same amount of pressure to perform, to be responsible, to provide. And some of them do feel stressed and some of them don't. And some of them feel more stressed, some of them don't. So what gives, right? And the number one thing I want to share with you, and I will keep sharing this until pretty much every person on the planet has heard this, that the stress you feel from the outside pressure is created from within your own internal thinking. Again, the stress you feel doesn't come from anywhere outside. It is not outside of you. It is not defined by your circumstance. It is not defined by the amount of money you have, lack of money you have, by your relationship or lack of relationship, by your kids' behavior or by your parents' behavior. It has nothing to do with any of that. The stress you feel comes from the thinking that you have about what is going on.